Good morning, Trump's family. Have a great Wednesday, everyone, and God bless you. Thank you for always watching and subscribing to the channel. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the news. And today we're focused on that one specific word, exposing not too long ago there was a battle in the House. Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert and crew, otherwise known key members of the Freedom Caucus, stood in front of Kevin McCarthy's nomination with a couple of demands. One of them was to release all of the tapes pertaining or tapes related to the events of January 6. Nancy Pelosi had her supposedly bipartisan commission, and by bipartisan and transparent, I guess, based on their twisted definition, means no transparency, shutting down the opposing side's voice and refusing to release the majority of the footage, over 40,000 hours of CCTV footage during the day. And Matt Gaetz was adamant in his request to Kevin McCarthy, the current Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, to release all of the tapes, and thankfully enough Kevin McCarthy obliged. Well, today we get confirmation every single second, every single tape, more than 41,000 hours of CCTV footage of January 6 events is now being handed over. And who exactly are they handing it over to? Their choice is none other than Fox News as Tucker Carlson. The number one guy in news media, undeniable, meaning Tucker Carlson, who has an average audience of over 3.5 million concurrent viewers. Every single time he's live is now in possession of all of the tapes. His team of researchers and producers are going through everything, and as we're learning, we're gonna get a thorough review and thorough investigation and presentation of those 41,000 hours of footage. It's time to get to the bottom of it. It's time to clear the record and BTFO the hyperbolic left-wing insurrection narrative. Alright folks. Take a look at this beautiful headline right over here. Kevin McCarthy is giving exclusive access to 41,000 hours of January 6 footage to Tucker Carlson. Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy of California is granting Fox News host Tucker Carlson exclusive access to more than 41,000 hours of footage from the January 6 protests at the U.S. Capitol. The development was first reported by Mike Allen from Axios, who cited sources close to McCarthy. That was the initial report. And last night during Tucker Carlson's show, that report was confirmed that Tucker Carlson and his team are in possession of all tapes, and they will be doing a presentation next week. Let's take a listen, he says. We've been complaining about, and we think it's justified, the fact that the U.S. Congress has held tens of thousands of hours of closed-circuit camera footage from the public. They have not released any event from January 6. And January 6, of course, is a transformative event in this country. It's been used to change the country. So they're about 44,000 hours. And you may have heard this, they've been granted access to that. And we believe that access is unfettered. We believe we have secured the right to see whatever we want to see. So we've been there about a week. Our producers, some of our smartest producers, have been there, looking at this stuff and trying to figure out what it means and how it contradicts or not the story that we've been told for more than 2 years. We think already that in some ways it does contradict that story. And so we're going to spend the rest of this week taking a look at it, assessing it as honestly as we can. And we're going to bring you what we find next week. Okay folks, it's going to be big, folks. And look, I know some people are pretty frustrated with Tucker Carlson right now. I really haven't done a deep dive into the details. So I'm going to refrain from giving my opinion on that. But at the end of the day, he's the right vessel. Nancy Pelosi and Liz Cheney's little January 6 partisan commission show trial pretty much flopped in the ratings. No one was really paying attention. Well, when Tucker Carlson does a massive segment, it's going to create shockwaves. People are going to see it, not only the 3 to possibly even 5+ million who are going to tune in, depending on, of course, the excitement in the marketing, but the shockwaves, the waves that follow after rippling through the internet, accumulating tens of millions of views. There's finally going to be a counterbalance. There's going to be real transparency, not just the same recycled clips over and over and over again promoting the Democrat narrative, most of it showing Trump supporters reacting to tear gas and police officers hitting them with batons. Of course, the context is never added. Oh, it's violent Trump supporters attacking police officers, never the other way around. All you ever hear from these Democrats is the same dishonest disinformation talking point being propagated that Trump supporters took the lives of multiple Capitol police officers on the day of January 6, which literally never happened. But of course the blue in on crowd still pushes that same piece of misinformation, still somehow believes that the same people who still believe that Kyle Rittenhouse indiscriminately took the lives of multiple Black Lives Matter protesters. We still hear about those Capitol Police officers that Biden and Hillary Clinton keep using to divide the American public. We never hear about Ashley Babb. It though of course not. Well, finally, there's going to be some counterbalance. We're not going to see the same recycled narratives and same recycled pieces of footage that fit the Democrat narrative. We're going to see everything else. Finally, we're going to see the humanity of those individuals who are present on that day, the same people who are being castigated and labeled as extremists who are trying to illegitimately overthrow the US government. We're going to see their true story. We're going to see their true intent. We're going to see those people for what they were actually doing and what their actual intents and actions were on that day. And let's just say it's not exactly what the Democrat media and the Democrat establishment have been telling us. Of course, we know that because we've seen the majority of the clips, we're going to see people acting cordially respecting police officers. I'm assuming we're going to see some Capitol Police body cam footage of the Rotunda people just walking around peacefully, probably chanting specific slogans, waving American flags, acts of patriotism and respect for the place that they are in, not trying to burn the whole thing down like Antifa probably would have done. We're going to see never before seen video, most likely obliterating the current Democratic narrative, and we know it and so do they. And by they, I mean the other side. The same people who crafted their precious insurrection narrative, even they know they're full of it. And you know how I know that? Because one of the key architects of this precious Democrat narrative, Nancy Pelosi, his daughter, has actually now been caught with new secret leaked video footage of her essentially admitting everything Democrats refuse to admit in public. Take a look at this from the Gateway Pundit never before seen video. Nancy Pelosi as filmmaker daughter Alexandra Pelosi caught on tape refuting January 6th narrative, admitting the January 6th protest is not an insurrection. And DC courts are quote to bias. Here are some key moments in the video where Alexandra Pelosi makes some stunning admissions. Everyone listen to this. She says, I tell him he got great legal, sometimes I say 8 months was just great. Considering that the shaman who did not, I mean, what did the shaman did? He stood there. He stood there. They should have been God. How many of us? Right? One? Well, I think the one thing, if you drag it out after the Democrats lose the House, and then they get rid of the committee, people may lose interest. Yeah, the first trials are gonna get a lot of attention. Yes. It's like anniversaries of the first one is a really big deal. No one's gonna care after the Democrats are in power, right? And then take Biden out of office, then who cares if you drag it along? I wouldn't go first for trial, because DC is a lot of people who work for the government. And it's a lot of I don't think that sort of. We don't need to be held there. Well, if you totally draw the thing of why I asked you the question of like, so what was the plan, is that if there was an insurrection, you were supposed to be in line, marching. You're in the military, you plan for this, you're gonna be able to laugh about this one day. Okay, so I want you to know that I'm from New York City. And I was always long time ago, friends with Gavin McInnes, who supposedly the guy that started Voice. Yes. When you see it as a drinking club, I'm just telling you guys, I don't know what the Proud Boys is. But I know Gavin McInnes. I went on road trips within the parties. It was so comical to me when I first started hearing about like, Prague was respect. This was like years ago when they started saying in Brooklyn. I was like, what, this guy? I mean, he may say he made a lot of he's like, he's a provocateur, like B, but the idea that he's now being elevated to being this embrace. It totally makes me laugh. All right, folks. She admits that the Q shaman, one of the most vilified figures in the mainstream media, essentially did nothing. And she also admits that most likely he's going to face a stiff legal punishment for essentially doing nothing. She also admits that it wasn't an insurrection. Quote, if there was an insurrection, you were supposed to have a plan. It was the sorriest insurrection in history. She's essentially admitting that there was no plan. There was nothing orchestrated. There was no organization or plan to overthrow the government. It was simply a protest that might have, in certain cases, in certain aspects, got out of hand, that of course, no one is denying, and of course, understanding the psychology of mob mentality. The fact that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer specifically made sure that day that security would be downgraded, well, They probably play a big role in the events turning out the way that they did. She also said that one day people are going to laugh about it. And one of the most stunning admissions, she said that she has a friendship with Gavin McInnes and laughs at the notion that Proud Boys are a white supremacist group. That's one of the main narratives of the January 6th insurrection, that the Proud Boys in the Oath Keepers are extremists, white nationalist groups that coordinated directly with Donald Trump. I'm laughing because it's frickin' laughable to overthrow the government. On that day, even Democrats, even one of the core architects of crafting the narrative, Nancy Pelosi's daughter Alexandra Pelosi, who was there on the day with a documentary film crew actively getting footage to craft that narrative. Even she knows that the Democrats' story of events is full of crap that tells you all that you need to know. Well, the counterbalance is coming. In fact, this is already an element of the counterbalance. The Pelosi is themselves essentially admitting that everything they've told you over the last 2.5 years has been full of crap. Now we got 41,000 hours to pile on and continue refuting the claims of an organized coup and insurrection orchestrated by Donald Trump and other evil right-wing MAGA militia groups. The narrative is falling apart, and one thing that Alexandra Pelosi said that I certainly agree with, that one day you're going to be able to laugh about this. Well, it seems as though that is certainly the trajectory now, isn't it? Get ready, left droids, your narrative is about to get BTF. Thanks for sticking around. Follow me daily. I will do my best to show you. There's a lot of information that shows what's going on. Remember, where we go one, we go all.